A while back, I was talked about expanding this channel. We're going to cover a lot more things in security besides private security. Well, I decided to pull the trigger on that, and we're gonna start. This is gonna start happening now, and I'm gonna begin this journey into this arena in this video. We're gonna talk about a problem that's being addressed on all levels, from the private security industry, law enforcement, the banking industry, and several other key stakeholders. We're talking about ATM crimes. Now, what does this have to do with the fact that I'm a security guard and doing what? Okay, and I've got to. What does this have to do with private security? Well, I'm going to tell you. And I would encourage and I would ask you share this video far and wide because I want to. I don't want this to just reach security guards. I want this to reach everybody. That goes up, drives up, uses an ATM, whatever the case may be. And I'm sharing this from experience and recent event, from recent experience, and after a couple events that's happened. That's happened to yours truly. So without further ado, you see Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm going to just do this with a PowerPoint presentation. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, here you're looking at a typical day at a standalone ATM. You're not thinking a whole lot about nothing. There's the ATM right there in this shot. You can't. It's pretty small, but it's where my mouse is. It's typical drive-up ATM with this banking institution. You pay either you're going to be an armored courier that's going to go up and refill money in it, or you're going to be your typical user that's going to try to get money out of it. Okay, and you don't think nothing's going to happen. It's a typical day. Watch what happened. What now? I'm going to play a next slide. I'm going to play some video of what can happen.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do it. Don't 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 move.
In that video, that's courtesy of Sky News, you saw three masked bad guys rob that ATM while that armored courier was trying to service it and put money into it. That has been a growing trend, and it grew pretty heavily in 2024 and 2025 with with bad guys robbing ATMs like in this method, all over. And this is not happening. This is happening all over the country. I've read about it in places in Texas. I've read articles about it. It's gone as far west as the Pacific Coast, as far north as St. Louis, Missouri, and as far east as Florida. Why does this? Why does this happen? Should this concern you in private security? Well, we're going to get into that. And I want everybody. I hope everybody pays attention to this. Everybody should pay attention to this, me included. When you're working an ATM escort, what I'm going to refer to something called ATM escorts. What that is you are dispatched by probably a nationwide company. In this case, we're going to go St. Moritz Security because they most of the big Fortune 500 ATM manufacturers. I'm talking NCR Atleos, Diebold, and any third party independent vendor companies that work on ATMs like this. They will have what's called a service level agreement through such and such bank. Now I'm going to talk about this. Customers use ATMs at all hours of the day and all hours of the night. Banks want their financial equipment working in order. Now, everybody in law enforcement, I hope you're paying attention to this too, because what happens is, let's say customer, I don't know, XYZ banking places a service call. Their ATM is out of order. This is about this, and the call's coming in after dark. Yet that servicing company has a not financial, but a service level, an SLA to that bank to respond and make sure that that ATM is made working. And this could become simple. I don't know, for shams. It could be something even serious. The technician has the discretion, whether day or night, to go if he wants security. Yeah, he can call them. Now, what would security's job to be in something like this? Your job is to provide cover. You're watching the area, you're watching for the technician to do his job, and you're making sure that technician is safe. Now, in something like this, and with any company, they're gonna have a series of post orders. I've done this for two companies myself. You're gonna go scout. You're gonna make that go to the ATM. You're gonna area in question, and you're gonna scout out the area. You're gonna look for places kind of like back doors. In this video, I have slides that's gonna show you kind of what I'm talking about. You're gonna look for areas where you can approach from multiple angles and things of that sort. And once you've determined that it's safe for the ATM technician to go do his job, you let him know, hey, okay, everything's secure. Come on over here. I'm going to post up in an area, and then you're going to post up in an area where you've got a panoramic view of everything around you. You're not going to pay attention to the technician unless he wants to talk to you. Most technicians that I know are not really going to want to talk. They want to get in there, do what they got to do, get the job done, and your job's going to be to cover. I like to call it a form of executive protection, because that technician may have to open the safe up, and he's going to have access to a whole bunch of cash. Now, the next slide, we're going to talk about what kind of crimes. I'm not sure if you can see this or not in the slide in this video. We're going to talk about the types. Follow the technician. This grew pretty significantly in 2024. What I mean by that, the bad guys are going to break just enough of the ATM to where it's going to trigger something's wrong with it, and it'll trigger for a technician to head out to site to go see what's going on with it. Most times you're not thinking about it in the daytime, but as you saw in the prior video, the ATM that the courier was servicing was robbed broad daylight. So you have to kind of take this in consideration. Technicians, I know you know this. Security guards, security officers, guards, whatever you want to call yourself. When you're going you're going into an area, you're thinking, oh, this won't happen here. You'll think that until it happens to you. Then that once you've experienced something like this for yourself, it takes on a whole new realm of reality. I can vouch on that from experience. Now, in the slide, I'm going to put a couple of links. I'm going to put a couple of links in the description. You may not see it in this slide to a couple of occasions where bank workers got hurt as a result of bad guys like this. Now, in the next bullet point, we're talking about follow the armed courier. And again, it goes back to what I referenced to in the video. And you're going to talk, and it goes from the site branch refillers, and we're going to talk about two terms you may not be familiar with: jugging and jackpotting. What I mean by jugging is, let's say the customer's going in and they're getting a large sum of money out. Bad guys are going to be staking out that area, and I can tell you this, and you'll see. I'm going to get into it on the couple of slides down. I took a video. I took pictures of a known ATM that I'm pretty familiar with. What it is, and they're going to go out and they'll they will scout, follow you. If they see you have a large chunk of cash, you're going to get followed to your next destination. Then the bad guys are going to go into your vehicle, break in, and they're going to steal your cash. So where am I going? Where am I going now? Jackpotting. This is a crime that's been led to a lot of international rings and schemes, international rings to, and what this involves is bad guys are able to break open the ATM. They will install some kind of malware in it. To what happens is when they can put a card in, they ask for a withdrawal, and then the money just dispenses and dispenses and dispenses until it is out of cash. This part is a very growing trend, and this is another things to be looking out for. Now, next slide, we're going to talk about how common all this, as you see in the link, this is all courtesy of ATM Depot. I'm going to read it out, I'm going to kind of talk about kind of the bullet points in it, and I want you to listen pretty carefully. ATM robbery used to be a lot less common. However, it's no surprise that in light of COVID-19 and other instances of civil and economic unrest, crime in general has increased. We've seen it since the big, crime protests from George Floyd. I don't know, a few others. I think January 6th, it goes on and on. According to the FBI, the number of thefts reported between 2016 and 2019 were under 50. They climbed to 254 in 2021. The skyrocketing ATM thefts are led to major metropolitan areas, and bank ATMs are going to be listed in these numbers. Bank ATMs can hold as little as 40,000, and it can hold as much as 250 grand. So in this particular case, it's like you can break into an ATM when there's an unarmed technician there. It's less risk, high reward. Now, it's also important you want to take the necessary steps to make sure that stuff like that this doesn't happen to you. As I'm talking, and for one thing, banks and credit unions are installing what's called baller gates. They'll put the gates right in front of it. That'll keep people from trying to access the lower fascia, to where they can just as easily open up the ATM, put malware, whatever the case may be, and then make it into a jackpot where you're ready to make a bank. As I go into this slide, we're talking, this can come out of that. ATM thefts, can be coming across pretty drastic. You might have heard of criminals using crowbars to pry off ATM covers. It's known as smash and grabs. You've heard of a lot of it in the news recently about hook and chains to high-powered vehicles and industrial vehicles and taking the ATMs off at the foundation. I have seen this firsthand with a bank where I have gone to assess damage to it, and I've seen it literally crumbled. The ATM literally moved to a parking lot, and then it's pretty much looking like it's been crumbled with paper, and the safe destroyed, and the contents taken out of it. And in cases I have not seen this, explosives to breach it. I talk about this for if you're doing security escorts. Again, I'm going to talk about know your surroundings. Each ATM you go to is going to be different. What I did for a period of time, I went to some ATMs that I knew a company was servicing, and I looked at some of the areas for myself. And in the next two slides, I'm going to be covering some of this. So, as I say here, it's pretty much keep your head on a swivel. You could be watched by one or maybe several. Most of the ATMs I've read about, attacks I've read about, It's been more than one person, and it's been coordinated. People that will plan it out, and they'll do it. They do it very, very well. It's pretty chilling. Now, the next slide, we're talking about this is a typical branch as I'm looking at it from the main entrance into it. In this slide, you're looking at an ATM right here, and in a kiosk right here. But I want you to pay attention to something. You may not be able to see this where my mouse is. That is a back entrance where I can take a look at this same ATM from the rear. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to talk about. You're going to see that view from the rear. Where am I going with this? When you're driving around, you want to make it a point. What I did in this particular case, I cased the area. I drove around. I'm just looking at surroundings. I'm looking at kind of where bad guys might hide. As I'm watching the typical traffic of people driving, lining up to use the particular ATMs, no matter which one it is. What I observed on that particular day was a little bit disturbing. People going in, and granted, it's your typical user, and they're not going to expect to be thinking of it. But my point is, I want you to be aware of your surroundings when you're going to a drive-up ATM or what have you. Now, I talked about looking at it from the rear. All right, that's the same branch, but I'm looking at this from the rear, and you see the view that I'm looking at. There's cars up front, and I want you to know somewhere I've got my mouse at. Banks before before the invention of what's called ITMs. Now, what I mean by an ITM is the customer, if he wants to talk to a human being, he can talk to somebody through that machinery, the machine. And then there's a ticket or customer service agent that's talking to the drive up customer through through web interface, and then they can consult do their business just like they're talking to a teller through this window. Now, in this particular angle that I'm looking at, there's no tellers there. All the traffic in this particular branch, if you want to talk to a teller, you have to go inside. If you don't want to go inside, you're going to be driven to use both these units. Here's my point I'm going with this. If you're going up to some place, make sure you kind of have a public view and make sure you're seen. If you're insisting on using a drive-up ATM with your local bank, and you can't afford to take a service hit if you're going to go to an out of network ATM or whatever the case may be. Vandalism. We're talking about and fraud, vandalism and fraud. Okay, I'm gonna we're talking about in this one about you may have somebody looking over your shoulder. They can social engineer. They may be able to find out your PIN or do whatever you. Now, if you've heard about this, ATMs has had skimmers installed. What are they? These are little devices that can be pasted in on the card readers and attached to another device where if you insert your card unknowingly, your data has been captured by a bad guy. And I've seen these firsthand, and there may be a camera that's attached, and when you key in your PIN, they've got access to your account number and how they're using that. It's pulled from your Mac Stripe. It's usually 2 or 3 tracks, and all your data is there. What they can do with this, they can electronically through sophisticated means, they can create additional fake cards and go out and buy and pretty much drain your bank account. drain your bank account of whatever's in there, and you never know it until you saw fraudulent activity on your account, and then you're calling your bank to find out, hey, what's going on. Who's responsible? Mostly it's been, for the main part, it's been gangs coming out of Houston, Texas. As I said in earlier, they've been traveling across the country do smash and grab ATMs, rob them while the technician's working on them, rob them while armed couriers doing it. It's putting money in. Now, you might say, well, there's recordings there. They'll get the bad guys. Doesn't make a difference because they're usually there prepared for it. They're going to mask up. They're going to hide. They're going to hide themselves from from being identified. So keep this in the back of your mind. There may be signs there saying, "Smile, you're being recorded," but that's not going to mean nothing to the bad guy if he's prepared for it. Now, later on the slide, as you see here, international organizations. I've talked about this in reference to skimming devices. And there's also a link here in Oklahoma, early last year, a year ago at this time, two were arrested for putting skimmers in two locations in the north part of Oklahoma City. And on occasion, you're going to have lone wolves. Here's my tips. Take it with a grain of salt, but think about your safety in mind. If you have to go out at night, go to an ATM in a well lit area and with a friend. I would almost prefer, if you have to go to a drive up, make sure you're in public view and make sure you got a friend. Make sure you got a friend. It's always conceivable for somebody to walk up to you like what I witnessed in the slides. I could have gone up in front of such a user. Hey, give me your money and strong arm rob, whatever the case may be. Now, you law enforcement officers out there are hearing me. I won't do this. Let me make that perfectly clear. I won't do this because I just want you to everybody to be aware of of the scenarios that's out there. Second tip: try to go to an inside ATM like a Walgreens, Casey's, grocery stores, retail stores. Most of your major retail stores, some may have ATMs to your particular bank. If you can use them there, use them there. You're in a public view. Public's going to be watching you. Bad guys are probably not going to go into an area where they're going to be easily seen. Take your cash and leave. Don't flaunt. Don't keep it out. For you, take your cash, put it in a safe place. Get out of there. You can be robbed in broad daylight just as like as you can at night. Watch your accounts. Watch them hard. Always stay on top of this because, again, as I pointed out, to the ATMs with skimming devices and stuff like that. You never know. You never know, and it's very easy. You can go to anywhere, swipe your card at a gas pump, use an ATM or whatever, and you may not be known that's got a skimming device on it. It's not just at ATMs. I mean, gas pump. If you want to pump it, if you're like me, you like to pump and pay at the pump. There could be known skimming devices there. It's been traced at one point in an area about southern Oklahoma, North Texas. And as I say, watch your surroundings. You're in an area, you see vehicles, no license plates. Texas plates. Now I say Texas because a lot of these robberies, like you saw in the video, are coming from Houston. And a couple of articles that I've read, they're coming. All of it has had Houston, Texas connections to it. You see any vehicles like that, get out of there. Get out of there and get yourself safe. Now, that being said, I hope you guys learned something from it. And I hope y'all that does ATM escorts take this to heart and don't take it for granted. Because at any given night, you may think, oh, there's nothing out. you could any day or night, you could probably get ambushed just very easily, like you saw in the video. Now, in this, now with this being said, I'm going to start this. This is going to be a start in kind of a series. In the next, in a future post, I'm going to talk about a visit I made to a call center where a team is getting trained up to learn about how to look for fraud and scams. And then in order to protect, now I'm talking to the general public here. I'm not talking to security. I'm talking to the general public. I took a tour of a location where a team is getting trained to learn devices, technology, and tools to help you protect you from getting scammed or being a victim of fraud. You will see that in a post either here or on my Facebook page. Be on the lookout for that. I'm going to end the video here on this note. Always remember, trust is earned, loyalty is returned. See you guys on the next video.